I'm going to dive right into how to connect your lead funnel to a pipeline, and then the triggers that you need to get that set up, okay? All right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a blank snapshot. I have put in a couple of things, but I'm going to use a blank snapshot so you guys can see how very, very simple this is. It's nice and easy, especially if you do not know how to actually like build a funnel or set things up. I keep it very simple. So right off the bat, if you're going to set up a lead funnel to a pipeline, the very first things you are going to need is a lead funnel and a pipeline. I mean, it's straight to the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to funnels and websites, and I'm going to click funnels. And what I did was I just created a new funnel. I went to the template library. Okay, use the template library, especially if you're new to this and you don't have the money to pay for a funnel and all of that. Go to the template library. And what I did was I chose this elementary smart funnel. You can actually open them up. You can click for a live preview, and you can see what it actually looks like before you download it. Okay, and once you do that, you can hit I agree. This is a free template. You hit this template, and it gets pulled right into your account. Okay, very simple. This is a very simple video sales letter, big headline, video, and an option to opt in, okay? And so what I did was I actually already downloaded it. Now, this is just gonna be a two-step form, lead funnel. So when I open this up, all right. So when I open this, it works a little bit slower when I'm going live. Okay, I open this up. Like I said, this is a basic video sales letter lead form. This is something I highly recommend some of you use if you're just looking to generate leads, okay? Big headline, catch their attention. You got about 3 seconds to capture their attention. Then a video that's going to explain the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, how you're better, all of that. And then, hey, do you want to double your traffic? Call to action button here. Okay, right off the bat, what I'm going to want to do, if I want to keep this really simple, this button right here, I'm going to want to, you can actually link it to a website URL where it takes someone to a different location. But what I want to do is I want it to open up the pop-up. So when this button is clicked, I want it to open up the pop-up to where I can have a lead form here. It's going to show up blank like this. And what you're going to need is you're going to actually need to create a lead form, okay? I'm going to come back to this page, but I'm going to show you first where that lead form is. So once you have your funnel template inside and you know exactly where you're going to place your lead form, you're going to come right over here to the left. Once this 9 dots finishes loading, and you're going to come over here to the marketing tab. I'm going to click over here on the marketing tab, and I'm going to go over here to form builder, okay? Now I have a Zoom test form. I'm not going to go into the details of how to build the forms out. They're pretty easy. So what you want to do is you have many options. You can change the style, you can change the font, you can change the fields. If I want to add in a phone number, I can drag in a phone number, a place for a phone number, but you want to make sure that you label the form so you know exactly what form it's doing. So if you're in real estate, you would say buyer opt-in form or seller opt-in form, or if you're in fitness, new fitness lead opt-in, something like that, to where you actually know where what form it is that you're using, okay? Once you have the different locations that you want and you have a button set up, you're going to scroll down the page and you're going to want to hit save form. And then you're going to want to hit, you can hit integrate form, and what this will do is this will open up the actual a custom HTML, or you can actually get a link to the form, but you don't need to do any of those, okay? Once it's saved, what I want to do is I want to go back to my funnel, and I want to open this back up. Go back to edit page. Excuse me. And so now that I know that my button is going to open the pop-up, I'm going to edit the pop-up. I'm going to hit element and I'm going to click this form thing. Now it's going to bring you up a drop-down list of your forms. Select your forms and your form is right there. Zoom test form. And that's going to populate your form. Okay, that is step one. Make sure you have your lead funnel in place, whatever, if you want to build it out or use a template, make sure you know exactly where your form is going to go. Go back and create that form, and then you are going to be set up. Okay, that is step one of getting your form connected to your lead funnel. Now, please make sure you go up here and hit this save button. It will prompt you if you try to exit out that you need to save it. Just make sure you go here and you hit save form, okay? That's step one. Then you are going to go back, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that when someone enters in their name, their phone number, and their email address, that now you don't have to just reach out to them one-on-one. If you do want to reach out to them and you don't want to have them into an automated campaign, then you can just do that. But what this next step is going to do is push them into an automated campaign where they will receive either emails or text messages because you collected their phone number. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to back out of the funnel.
Austin marijuana.
And then everyone, just so you know, I'm going to give, if you have questions, you can either type them down in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end, or like write your question down and we'll do a Q&A. Carrie, did you have a question right now? Okay.
If anybody's got a question, type it in the chat and I can hop on it too.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you have your lead funnel, once you have your form built, once you have your form inside of your lead funnel, the next thing you're going to want to do is come back over. Where on earth did my mouse go? My mouse is dying. Okay, whatever. So I'm going to come back over here to the marketing and I'm going to go to campaigns. Now this is where you're going to build out your automation campaigns, okay? I'm going to click create new campaign. We're going to do Zoom test campaign, and I'm going to hit save. All right, right off the bat, go into your campaign configurations, add yourself as a user or whoever the user is going to be inside of that campaign or that location very specifically. If you have another campaign that you're going to move them to after, those campaigns will show up right here in the next campaign. You do want to make sure you put your name in here, and you want to put your from email address, okay? gmail.com, okay? If you're going to have a lead value, that's where you put that here. And I do recommend that you do toggle this off, stop on response. I did have people get into a campaign and they messaged me back telling me that they liked the campaign or they gave me fist bump emojis, and it actually removed them from the campaign. If your campaign or you have like a webinar that has a certain start and stop date, this is where you would put that in, and that's a little more advanced, but I'm not going to cover that right now. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to add event, and let's say this is a combination because you collected their emails and their text messages. This is a combination of email and text message a campaign. You're going to put your email here. If you've gone into the email editor and you've actually created some templates, this will have a drop down of the template, and you can just drop it right in there, and you don't have to customize the email right inside of this form, okay? So let's say we're going to do one email and we're going to do one text message. Same thing. If you have a message template already built out, I'm not going to get into how to build out templates right now. You'd pick that template and you'd put it in here. What's kind of neat is you can actually send tests to your own cell phone number once your Twilio is connected, and hit send to see if to kind of check out how it looks. All right, so I have my campaign built out. This is my Zoom test campaign. It's going to send out one automated email and one SMS text message. Now, if I want the first email to go out the second that they opted in, I want them to receive that first email, I'm going to sit here and click immediately. Okay, so the second they opt in, it's going to send them that first email immediately. Now, let's say I want the second text message to go out a day after. Every single piece of the campaign is going to follow in sequential order to the previous event that went out. So if I want this to go out the very next day, I'm going to hit right here, 1 day after, okay? This is not 1 day after they opted in. This is 1 day after the very previous event, okay? Now, I do want to make sure, what is going on here? That once I set this up, I hit save, okay? And that's gonna save your campaign configurations, whatever you configured. If you do not hit save and you do not have these fields populated, when they get that first email, it's gonna show up blank and it's gonna look like a spam email, okay? So step one, we had create your lead funnel. Step two, create your form, get your form integrated into your lead funnel. Step three was come over here and create the campaign that they are going to be sent into. Now, here is a big thing that Shane and I both learned the hard way, is that by default, these are in draft mode. The second that you want these to be live, to where when people go in there, you're gonna have to hit publish, okay? What's kind of neat is if you wanna copy the campaign and use it to push into another sub account or something like that, you can do that right here. Okay, so now I have my lead funnel, now I have my form connected, now I have my campaign built. Now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes, the triggers that are actually going to, going to connect it all after I get into the lead pipeline. Now, let's just say you don't want to have a pipeline and you just want to have them go right into a campaign. You can skip this next part, but I highly recommend that if you want to keep track of where your leads are, we're going to come right over here and we're going to build what's called a lead pipeline. And this is going to show which steps your leads are in. So right off the bat, we have opted in, we have made contact, we have needs follow-up, opted out, and closed the sale. Okay, I mean that's a pretty standard pipeline for any type of lead generation campaign. Where you're going to see those populated is right here in the opportunities. Okay, and let's just say, let's just put myself in there real quick so that you can see how that looks. Opportunity pipeline example, opted in. Okay. Okay, so you'll actually see a lead card right here that you can manually move from space to space. If they're lost, you can drag them down to lost. If they've been abandoned, you can drag them down to abandoned. If you close the sale, you can either drop them into the one category or you can actually have them, you know, over here in the closed sale. It's completely up to you. Okay, so now I have my lead funnel. I have my form that they're going to fill out. I have the campaign that they're going to go into, and I have the pipeline that they're actually going to move through. Now, what I want to do is I want to go over here to triggers because I want to be able to connect all of this. I don't want to have to do a whole lot of stuff manually. So my very first step is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit add trigger. Now, my very first trigger is I want to have lead opt-in. You could call it whatever you want, but I want to make sure. You could end up having 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 triggers doing different things, and you don't want to lose them. Okay, so what I want to happen is when someone shows up to my lead funnel, my lead landing page, and they enter their information into that form, I want to have them automatically go into that lead campaign, and I want to have them automatically put into that pipeline. So this is very important. I'm going to choose the trigger point, the actual event that's going to trigger the automation, okay? So what I'm going to do, this is going to be probably your most used trigger. is I'm going to go to form submitted, because what did they do? They went to your landing page and they submitted a form. I'm going to hit add filter, and I'm going to click form is, because when you have multiple forms, you want to make sure that the trigger knows which form you're talking about. And then I'm going to hit select form, because I only have one Zoom test form. So right off the bat, step one, if they submit a form and the form is Zoom test form, it's going to trigger these actions. So now I want to hit an action. Once all of this is completed, what is the action I want them to take? Right off the bat, I want to add them to a campaign. I want to add them to the automation. The only campaign that I have is that Zoom test campaign. So they submitted a form. The form is Zoom test form, and it's going to automatically add them to that Zoom test campaign. Now I'm going to want to add an additional action, okay? The additional action I want to add, and this is a preference, but you want to be able to keep track of your leads. I want to add a tag, okay? And I'm going to put Zoom test campaign. So every single person that comes through that very particular lead form or that very particular lead funnel, they're going to be tagged with that option that right there, okay? So now we figured out how to automate, how to get them into the lead campaign, that Zoom test campaign, and we've automated putting a tag on them. Now I want to automate how to get them into that pipeline. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go here to add and update opportunity. And it's going to give me a drop down of which pipelines I want to add them to. So I want to add them to example lead pipeline, and I want to hit select stage, and then I want to hit opted in. Now you can add an opportunity name, you can add an opportunity source. So let's say they're coming from Facebook or they're coming from some type of source. You can actually add a source. Let's say you're generating leads, and each lead that you generate, so when I worked at a car dealership, they were willing to pay $15 to $20 per lead. So I could add a lead value. You have to do that in a different location, and I could put $15 there. And so I know that every single lead that comes through is worth $15, and you'll be able to see that calculation. Select status, you can leave that blank. Allow opportunities, this I'm not going to get into. So right off the bat, I have it to where when they come through that form that's submitted, that Zoom test form, they're added to the Zoom test campaign, they get a tag added to them, and they get added as an opportunity, okay? Same thing as the campaign. I want to hit save. I want to hit activate. Okay, because if you do not activate, if you don't activate this, then it's just not going to work. Okay, so that is the very first tag. That is the very first trigger. That trigger is going to be one of the most used triggers that you use. Okay, next trigger is I'm going to go into is opt out. Let's say they respond to you, okay? Let's say they send you an email back. Customer response, where's customer response? Email events. So let's say events or in campaign. Add action. Why can't I find the one that says customer responded, added to campaign, contact tag, booked an appointment. Oh, here we go. Customer reply. There we go. So let's say your customer replies and they want to opt out of your text message or something like that. Okay. So let's say reply channel, SMS, you sent them a text message and they say they don't want to be a part of that. Replied to campaign, select campaign, add filter. You can either use exact phrase or contains phrase. So let's say they type the word stop. Okay. Now, right off the bat, if a customer does that, if a lead does that and replies stop, Twilio will actually put them on a blacklist where you can't message them anymore. The only problem is they'll stay in the opted in column of your pipeline, and you don't want that to happen. So let's say they hit stop. What I'm going to want to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to want to go to remove contact tag. You can remove the tag that you added to them. Remove from campaign. I'm going to remove them from that. And I'm going to update that opportunity, select the pipeline, and then I'm going to hit select stage, opted out. Okay. And then I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to hit activate. So that way, if they get that text message and they reply stop, it's going to remove them from the campaign, and it's going to switch where they are at in your pipeline. Okay, these two triggers are going to be some of the most common triggers that you use. Okay, now there are ways to where, let's say when you're in your pipeline. So I'm going to leave those. I'm going to go back to pipeline. This is going to be a little bonus. Let's say they opted in and you made contact with them. Okay, and every person that you made contact with, you send them a follow-up email that says, "Hey, it was great talking to you, blah, 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 blah." What you can do is you can add some automation. When you move them to that column, it will actually trigger an email that goes to them. Okay, and this is how you're going to do that. So let's say I'm made contact, auto email. So what I'm going to do is, what's going to trigger that is opportunity status changed, add filter, move to status, or I'm sorry, in pipeline, example lead pipeline, pipeline stage, made contact. Okay, that's going to be the trigger that if I move them from opted in to that made contact, that I can actually now do a whole lot of things. I can add them to a different campaign, which would be if you're going to have an automated email that says, "Hey, thank you for doing that." You can add them to that campaign. You can also remove tags, add tags. So you can send them an email directly, like from here, where you custom, like, let's say you just want to send one email saying, "Hey, thanks for the chat. I look forward to speaking with you soon." You can actually have that set up right here. Okay. So that's one way to start. I'm not going to dive super deep into that, but you can automate your entire pipeline to where whatever piece of the pipeline that they go into, whatever piece of the pipeline that you move them to can have an automation set to it. I don't know how many people of you have like an onboarding email or do a follow-up after a call, or a, "Hey, could you send me a review?" That's how you can set that up right up inside this pipeline. Now, last thing on the triggers, because I kind of dove a little bit deeper into the triggers that I wanted to go into. This is a little bit of a hack. So let's say you're generating leads for a customer, for a client of yours, and you want them to get a notification. Okay, this is really cool because your clients, your customers, they'll freak out when all of a sudden they get a text message saying, "Hey, you got a new lead." What I'm going to do is, so the trigger is they submitted the form, they're in this campaign, I added this tag, they're moved in this opportunity in this pipeline. Now I'm going to hit this action that's going to say send SMS or send email. So I'm going to send an SMS to, you put their phone number in there, and you can say, "You got a new lead." Okay. And what's kind of neat is, because of these custom values, I'm not going to go too much into that, but you can put first name, contact, last name, and phone number. You got a new lead, and it's going to give them the contact's name, the contact's phone, last name, and their phone number. What's kind of neat is if you had any forms that they filled out or they answered any questions, you can actually send them any information, like inside of that text where it says, hey, they need an answer now, or they came through, they came through a specific form. But this is a really cool hack to make sure that if your customer or client wants a notification every time they get a lead, that you use this right here. And then you just put a phone number in there. Or if you want to get notified via email, then you just change this to send email. Okay, from to subject line, and then you hit save. And that right there is going to automate. Send email action requires blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we're not going to actually set that up. All right, so everything's saved, everything's active. Here's a cool tip. Just make sure you can actually set these to draft and activate. Now I'm going to show you exactly how that funnel works now, okay? So we have everything connected. You had your lead funnel. We built out the form. We put the form inside of the lead funnel. We created the campaign with one email, one text message, and we use these 2 simple triggers. Triggers can get more complex. I just wanted to make this real simple so you can see how to connect it. And now everything is all connected. One thing I want to do is I want to go back and I want to make sure that now that my triggers are active, that my campaign is active. So it is published. Boom. Excellent. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to test that it actually worked. Now, I'm going to ask the glitch gods to make sure that when I do this test that it actually works, so this isn't embarrassing. Sometimes it takes a little bit for the triggers to actually go through. So I'm going to open this up in a preview mode. And when I click this button, oh, I know what happened. Oh, there we go. When I click that button, no, stand by. So what happened was, and you make sure you do this because this is going to be something that you run into. Make sure that when you click that button or when someone clicks that button, that you change where they're going to be routed to. Because right now, when they click that button, it's going to route them to a different website. And I don't want that. I don't want to do that. I want it to open the pop-up. Okay. So now when they click that button, it's going to open the pop-up that we created. Make sure you hit save. Okay. Then I'm going to hit preview. I'm going to click the button. It's going to open the pop-up. I'm going to enter in my name, my phone number, my email address, and I'm going to hit get started. Okay. Now you're going to notice something. It just bumped me to the exact same page that we were on instead of taking me to the thank you page. This had me pulling my hair out for a very, very, very long time. Okay. So there is one more step that you need to take. So I'm going to come out of this. In order to get the funnel, so when you click that button inside of the form and it to bump them to the thank you page, you actually need to take, I'm going to click on this email confirmation. And if you have a domain set, it's going to be right here. But since I don't have this connected to a domain, and what I'm going to need is I'm going to need this URL address, this domain address. I don't know what's the proper terminology there. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go over here to my form. I'm going to open this form. And what I need to do is I need to set the action inside of this form that when they submit the button, it's going to open up a new URL. Okay. And I'm going to paste the URL to my thank you page or whatever it is the next page that I want them to go to. Now you only have to do this on forms. When you set up buttons inside of the page, you can also bump them to it can take them to the next page, but this is how you set it up when you're using a form. So I hit save form. It used to be you have to hit integrate. Now, when I go back here, not bookmarks. So now when I go back to this page, I'm going to hit refresh. And now when I click on this form, let's say I am Mike Jones. Mike Jones. And we're going to do 281-330-8004. Hit Mike Jones up on the low. We're going to do Mike Jones at gmail.com. Mike Jones, whoever Mike Jones is that owns both of these, hates my guts because I use this every single time, okay? And then when I hit get started, oh, invalid phone number. Oops. 28, oh, there we go. There we go, 281-330-8004. Okay, now when I hit get started, it's going to bump me to that thank you for signing up, just one more thing, and then it's going to take you to your thank you page, okay? So that's how the functionality of the form, the lead funnel, and how you can bump them to the thank you page. Now when I go back inside and I go to opportunities, now you're going to see those opportunities populate inside of the actual pipeline here. Okay, so you can see, and this is really cool in the app. When you open the app, you can actually see how many leads came in. And so when I open up Mike Jones, if I click the white part, it's going to give me a not so clear view on all of his information. It's just going to give me kind of a short view of all of this stuff. But you can see the source it came in through, which form it came in through, the lead came in through. So if you're running multiple forms and multiple different lead sources, this is very helpful to know where they came through. And inside of the contact section, you can segregate based on that. But if I wanted to get into the meat and potatoes of the lead itself, I'm going to click his name. All right. It looks like that email address. Oh, I don't have an email address set up. So what's kind of cool is you can actually see what form they came through, pages they visited, and then down here it's going to show you which campaigns they're in. So he's in the Zoom. Through that trigger fired, and now he's in the Zoom test campaign, and which opportunities the pipeline he is in. Okay. Now, if you want to remove them from a campaign, you can click that. This is like the emergency. I need him removed from everything. He's pissed. You can hit do not disturb, and it'll actually remove them from all campaigns. And there's some other triggers that you can trigger to make that happen automatically. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the very, very simple way to take your lead form. And then what's kind of neat is once you go to your dashboard, it'll show you the opportunities. And if you had a value posted to them, it'll show you what it's worth. You'll be able to see the pipeline right here on where people are at. So if I go to opportunities and I moved my own self over here to opted out, and I moved this one to needs follow-up. What's kind of cool is the dashboard. It'll show you on, I should have populated that. So it actually should. I don't know why that's not firing right this second, but it should actually show you how many people.
The orange juice, spinach, salt.
I would love some orange juice.
All right, I'll do it for you later.
Sweet. Awesome. So that right there is how you go from connecting a lead page, connecting the lead form, setting up the campaign, and then setting up a pipeline and some triggers to automate the whole process. And that right there is step by step how you can get people opting into your lead form, showing up to your landing page, getting them into a pipeline stage, then getting them into a campaign, and having it completely automated. Okay. Like I said, I wanted to keep this short, simple. And what I want to do now is I want to open it up for some Q&A, because that's where we're gonna keep it right now. Can you Why doesn't it give me the option to stop share, Shane? Can you hit stop share?
Stand by.
Oh, I
Nope.
got it. I got it.
Nope.
All right.
Hey, real quick, Austin, maybe you got the answer to this question. I tried looking into it. Can you, when you are creating a trigger, can you add multiple phrases and words on one trigger? Or do you have to, if you want like unsubscribe, whatever, would you have to make one trigger for one phrase, another trigger for another phrase? I thought for sure you could add multiple phrases.
No, great question. So you do have the option. Great question, whoever asked that. So in the triggers, oops. So I believe this is the case. I'm about 95% sure. Whoever asked that, I'm going to double check with support because I want to make sure of that. So in this contains phrase, you can either do exact match, where it has to exactly match that, or contains the phrase. And I believe what you do is you hit a comma, unsubscribe, don't message me. And if it contains any of these phrases, that it will actually opt them out.
That's what I thought too, but I haven't been able to confirm it yet. I was playing around with it.
I'm going to double check on that. Worst case scenario, you would have to go through and create a trigger that does that does each phrase. And what you would do is, let's say you wanted to create one for stop, unsubscribe, halt. I would just go right here and I would duplicate this entire trigger. Duplicate trigger, location, where am I at? Muskegon, opt-out copy. And so that way, let's say I had stop, contains phrase stop, okay? Save, I go back. Now I have opt-out copy. Then all I would do is just take that copy and I would do unsubscribe, so that, and then go up and hit save and make sure it's in active. So if that's the case where they make you make an individual trigger, that would be the best way to do that. And then that way, and then I do highly recommend you come in here, you make a new folder, and Zoom test campaigns, because you might be running multiple campaigns for multiple people. And then this way you can organize, Shane's been helping me on this. You can organize all of your triggers into folders. So that way all of your triggers are inside one folder, okay? So let's say I have lead gen for car dealership, lead gen for house cleaning service, lead gen for gyms. That way you can have all the triggers, because what you do not want is, I promise you'll pull your hair out if you have a list of triggers and they do all kinds of things over a multitude of funnels. It'll drive you a bit crazy. Great question, by the way. Does anyone have any other questions? You can unmute yourself too. You don't have to just type it in the box. Did this help anyone? Did anyone get value out of this? I have a question about time zones. Go ahead, Kristen. Do you want to unmute yourself?
I did see value in what you're teaching here, although I came late. Is it could I speak now, or you?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Sherwin.
All right, good. So first of all, thank you for putting on what you're doing here.
Absolutely.
I'm in Trinidad, and I want to know something about the opportunities, right? It lives within the pipeline, right? Correct?
It lives in two places. So it lives in the contacts. We didn't go into that section, but there's a contact section where all of your contacts live, and you can
Mhm.
separate them based on tags, based on source, based on a whole list of things.
So let me ask this question
Yeah,
here
go ahead.
to break it down like a 4-year-old. Let's say I'm in the real estate niche, right?
Yep.
I have a contact that is in a pipeline, so we just met, or in fact, they're in my client's account and they're in the real estate accounts, right?
Yep.
And they booked a a visit, or sit down with the agent. Is that considered, what is considered for real estate an opportunity?
Oh, if someone books an appointment with an agent, that is
Yeah.
definitely considered an opportunity.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's a solid lead.
All right, because I wasn't getting, the clear definition of what opportunity is as opposed to the pipeline. I know the pipeline is the
Okay, I understand. I understand what you're asking now. So
yeah.
I'm gonna give you a distinction that will help. Okay.
Mhm.
Think of the pipeline as a pipeline of opportunities. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like an umbrella term.
Mhm.
Don't think of the pipeline as like, hey, this is only one particular opportunity, because you could have people that opted in, people that you made contact with, people that messaged you on Facebook. And so the pipeline is just a way to organize where people are at in your sales funnel. And if someone is in your sales funnel, then technically they are considered an opportunity. Now, the level of opportunity changes, right? Because someone that booked an appointment versus someone that just opted in for a market research paper, they're opportunities, but they're different levels of opportunity. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I see it better now. So you could have different pipelines, so that somebody could be a buyer pipeline will be different from a seller.
Absolutely.
And
Or
okay, and then
you
the
could,
opportunities is like the different stages, right?
or you could have a buyer column. So I'm just gonna go back to it real quick. So let's say, so inside of these columns, you can change this right here to say buyer and this right here to say sellers. So that you have all of these buyers in here, and then this row is sellers. Does that make sense? Or you can create a completely new
Pipeline,
entire
right?
pipeline for both, which would probably be smart to organize them if you're in high volume.
Okay. All right.
I did that help you?
It did. Thank you.
Okay. I did see a
Hey,
question.
Austin.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, were you gonna address the question in the chat about time zones?
Yes, I was
Go
gonna
for
do
it.
that right now.
Take it away.
So if I understood it correctly, when it comes to time zones, what you need to do is actually come back here to agency level and agency settings. And you're going to change your time zone right here. Okay.
Or in your sub account.
Or in your sub account. Yes. You're going to change your time zone right here. Now, when you actually go to calendars, so let's say someone wants to schedule an appointment and they're in a different time zone. I don't have any calendars in there. Oh, come on. Okay, so real quick, do you see how on this how it actually shows the different pie charts of where people are at in the opportunity channel? I don't know why that didn't populate earlier, but okay, so let's go to here. Because I have people that have set appointments with me in different time zones, and when they're setting an appointment inside of one of the calendars. Where are my calendars at? Here we go. This also gives me the ability to choose what time zone I'm in, or actually this will this will actually pull based on the time zone. So let's say I open my calendar. The calendar is going to display what time zone I'm in. And if they are in a different time zone, it's going to convert that for them. And so it'll show availabilities. Like, let's say they're in a different state. They can actually toggle this and say, well, I'm actually in, I don't know where any of these places are.
CST, Central Time.
CST? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you pass it. There it is.
So let's say I'm in Guatemala. It's going to convert the options to them based on the availability I created. Okay. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Bottom line, Kristen, is it works that whole problem out for you. As long as you have your time zone set up inside your sub account or your agency at the agency level, it'll work it out for you.
Because you basically you have to manually. Oh, okay. I guess my sub account isn't set up correctly yet. Yeah, just go ahead and make sure you go into sub account settings and then set the proper time zone for that, so that you don't have to actually change that manually. Great question. Great question. Anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns, if, ands, or buts?
This is super good information, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't have any questions. I'm sure my questions get a whole lot heavier and deeper than probably can be addressed right here. But this is actually
go ahead. If you have something, I have no problem answering it.
I mean, the only thing that I kind of think about is I know a lot of clients that I've been coming across, like restaurants and maybe even dental places, they have their own payment point of sale systems, and they want to know about integrating it with that, and I just kind of not know which direction to go when it comes to something like that. I'm not sure if you guys run across that problem.
Okay, so repeat your question. You said that they have their own payment system.
Integrating like the CRM with integrating the high level CRM with their point of sale.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of these companies have their own CRMs that they're using, and they build through their gateways and whatever. And so you're talking about how do we integrate high level with any existing stuff that they already have?
Like at a restaurant, they're swiping somebody's card, and then the contact information text you out, hey, your food is ready, but they already have like something that they use.
Yeah, Austin, I'll throw this out, and you can add or
yeah, go ahead.
Correct it. You're probably going to have to get either like a Zapier or an Integromat and do some kind of an integration with their software. I'm not really sure what you would do with a restaurant and why, just when I don't know, I guess I think like when they're paying or swiping with their card, they're not really, maybe they're collecting that person's information. I'm not sure, but I'm not really sure why you'd need to integrate with a restaurant software. But I can definitely see that with like dental offices, things like that. And in that case, you'd probably have to use a Zapier to connect one software to another, so that when, for example, I had a gym. That's how I got into all of this. And so I used a gym software management system, and that's where we did our billing. We looked at, reports of attendance and all that kind of stuff. And then I started using high level for all the marketing stuff. Well, the two softwares didn't talk inherently. So I had to use Zapier with some webhooks to take information from my gym management software. So every time a new member went in, I would zap it over to high level so that I had a current list of all my members. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense. So it would make sense then just to do a Zapier type of a, kind of plugin or API.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, sometimes Zapier is really easy to use and sometimes it is just not simple. So, there's lots of people on Fiverr and various other places that you can hire for, $50 to do it for you.
Okay. That pretty much it there. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, good.
And then what also might help all of you is I wanted to touch on this quick before any of you all jump off, is that if you have questions, Shane and I, we decided to create a group called Go High Level Elite. It's a small, tight-knit group. Like I said in the beginning, when Shane and I started, we had questions, and both him and I, we love hopping in the group and answering questions, and we want to give people the opportunity to get their questions answered a lot faster or without having to pay someone $500 an hour to answer those questions. So if any of you are interested, it's not an obligation. We're going to keep it kind of small because we like to be able to answer people's questions, but it is called Go High Level Elite. Every single one of you are welcome for checking out the call. But it's a great place to post your questions. We have SEO experts in there. I've got a couple Go High Level VA experts in there. Shane's a fitness industry expert. I'm a lead generation almost expert. And so it's kind of neat. Some of the greatest value I've ever gotten online has been in groups where I can ask a question and have a bunch of people answer. I think Henry Ford said, intelligence is never having all the information in your head. Intelligence is this list of buttons on my desk where I can press this button and someone comes in and answers my question. So if you guys are interested, Go High Level Elite, you're more than welcome. It's not an obligation. But to touch on your question, Glenn, is I want to reiterate something from the very, very, very beginning. Okay, find out what inside of high level you want to use, and then use it very specifically for that. Because you do not have to get into the whole, hey, how do I run payments for them? How do I integrate their existing thing? If they say, hey, we just want your help, Glenn, bringing on new customers. Cool.
Okay.
Generate them leads and build a landing page, set up some automated emails, and don't even play with their payment system.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Why get into all those weeds, right?
Why get into something that you're going to have to, because then you have to deal with compliance. You have to, if it's for dentists, you have to become HIPAA certified. You do want to make sure that you find out exactly what it is that you're going to do for them, and then only use those pieces of high level. Because Shane and I, we were working with an MLM company, and we built out this massive funnel that was generating leads and automated. I automated the pipeline, and they had to make all these calls. And when we broke it down for them, they were like this, and there were crickets, and there was just way too much for them.
Way too much.
But if a business says, hey, Glenn, can you just generate me more leads? Cool.
Yeah.
How about do you want phone calls? Do you want set appointments? Or do you want me to send you a spreadsheet with a list of email addresses? Mm-hmm. And then that way you don't have to say, okay, I can generate the leads, the website, the funnel, the automated text messages. I can get your payment set up, all of that. If you don't have to deal with it, don't deal with it, because you can still charge them a reasonable price just to generate leads. I mean, a dentist makes a couple grand from a customer. And if you take 10%, hey, I'm going to charge you $500 per lead that converts or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think you have to use everything, because you'll pull your hair out.
That's true.
That's why my hairline's receding, is from high level glitches and high level problems. Is I start pulling my hair out right from here.
It's complicated, right?
Hey, Brittany, welcome. Does anybody else have any more questions? It doesn't have to be related to the topic today, but if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. or type it in the comments, the chat. Or like I said, join us inside of the Go High Level Elite group. And it's a tight-knit group. It's not meant to do, we're not selling you anything. We're not doing anything except for answering questions. And if you have the time, I will reiterate, please go check out Paulson Thomas and Joel Kaplan's 10K in 10 days YouTube training. I promise.
Posted it in the chat at the
Oh, yes.
top. I'll post
Someone
it back
posted
again
it
at
in
the
the
bottom
chat.
here.
All
Boom,
right.
there it is.
Yep. There it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh, hey, Shane.
Yo,
There's a save chat option.
good to know.
Again, I'm going to have no hair by the end of all of this. I'm going to have to start pulling from the back. All right. Well, I wanted to say thank you so much to every single one of you. Shane, thank you for helping me out again, brother. Carrie, Keith, Kristen, Tim, Raleigh, Abel, Sherwin, Brittany, and Glenn. It was an absolute pleasure getting to meet every single one of you. Please reach out if you have any questions. Send me a friend request. Send me a message. Join us in the Go High Level Elite group. And Shane, take it over.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you pop into the group, if you're just popping into the group, get on and say hi, or just type in, who you are, what you do, how long you've been using High Level, and what niche you're in. We'd love to hear about that, and that'll give everybody a chance to kind of get to know you.